What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge as the Sooners get a big victory. Joe Klatt just said it. You probably heard it as he finished the game. He said the Sooners are for real. And what seemed to be a maybe tough battle, it definitely was, Jay. Defense doesn't allow a single touchdown. Massive improvements on that side of the ball, which we'll get to. Dylan Gabriel made winning plays in the second half, although the first half was some interesting opportunities that were left out there. But again, Sooners get a win 20-6. Opening thoughts. We want you guys to be dropping your questions, your comments here in the chat as we do this and we progress through this. But let me just open it up with some stats. Dylan Gabriel was 26 of 38, 322 yards. Marcus Major led the ground attack with 63 yards. Definitely was better in the second half in the running game, the Sooners were. And then really just the defense proved to be maybe what they thought they were, guys, on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, like you said, this was definitely not a perfect game by any means. It's a W. It's a 2-touchdown W. I think the spread was, 14, and that's what it was. And it could have been a lot worse. It should have been, I think. You left a lot out there in the first half with the fumble in the red zone. Then you had the Farouk deep ball that had the guy beat by 10 yards, just overthrew him. And you had the Jaden Gibson. He had big separation, and Gabriel overthrew him. So those three plays there, I mean, you're talking 17 points. I did feel like I saw a lot of people on Twitter kind of bashing Levy. I thought Levy called a pretty good game, actually. I thought Gabriel missed on some opportunities, and then they had some silly penalties and some, a couple of drops on third down. And so I think that hurt him. But I think he called a good game. I will say the second half, I think after OU scored and got 20-6, he kind of pulled off a little bit just from watching. That's what I think. But when the defense is playing that well, you get the W and you get out of town.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. Would you rather score 50 a game and allow 45, or would you rather have a game like this where, as Cooper the Great said, should have been easily 14, 14 more points. And the thing is, had that happened, Dylan Gabriel's numbers would have been unbelievable. Threw for 322 yards, easily could have been mid 400s again like he had last week if he just makes some of those opportunities that really maybe those throws, I don't know that they were that difficult, the ones he missed on. So, but again, the defense, outside of 2 or 3 maybe missed tackles that I can recall, the tackling was great. Joe Klatt in the broadcast used this phrase several times. When they get downhill, they are downhill in a hurry. This defense is fast.
Well,
Venables dialed up a lot of pressure today. OU answered the question as far as can they put pressure on the quarterback, because they made Emory Jones definitely move a little bit.
Well, and I think a few things. Obviously, you got to say Danny Stutzman is the real deal. He, in my opinion, he's got to be the leader right now for the Butkus. I mean, what he's doing in these games, 13 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, a sack. I mean, a play that people aren't talking about, the double pass that Cincinnati threw. If Stutzman doesn't close on that guy, he probably makes a catch. I know that was a bad throw, but Stutzman's he's playing unreal, okay? And another thing is the defensive backs. I don't think they get enough credit. Gentry Williams, Kenai Walker, Vickers came in there. Obviously, you got Woody Washington. They are not allowing guys to get wide open. It's like the few busts today were off McCullough or a Cheetah or something. The defensive backs coverage in most of these games have been dynamite, man.
Yeah, and I'm with Stubby here on this. With some of the end arounds, there was one to Freeman that lost yards. They definitely lost some yards today on the end arounds, especially maybe if some other things are working. Overall, I thought Levy had some things dialed up pretty well. But, yeah, there were definitely some questionable ones. And as far as the running game goes, as Joe Klatt said on the broadcast, again, I'm going to go back to what he said. The second half, they went with the single back and they stopped the zone blocking. They definitely ran the ball better second half. I think not having Bird in there is a bit of a problem. Everett held his own some. He did have the big holding call that I think was very questionable. And before we get off topic, is there going to be a hold called against I am
It wasn't.
I'm flabbergasted that OU never gets holding called when they're blitzing. And Bothroyd made one sack today with one arm. He was getting held. Canick on the play before he went out, which, guys, we'll have to get to what we're hearing on Canick, but obviously, as the report was on the broadcast, for precautionary reasons, was in an ambulance, maybe had some spitting up blood and couldn't catch his breath. That's a concern. But the penalties, I don't know when the last time was OU's defense got a holding call. Again,
well, it's not just the holding calls, Jeremy. You look at the pass interferences. You had a blatant pass interference on Farouk in the end zone. The guy shoves him, then goes for the interception, no call. You have the obviously the guy's toe is out of bounds on the catch. They review it and don't change it. I mean, it's laughable. Brett Yormark's there at the game. I just laugh at him when I look at him. The guy's I don't know. He's just annoying. I mean, hey, Big 12 commissioner right now, Brett Yormark. OU and Texas are carrying your league this year, so have fun next year when they're out of the league. Okay.
Well, it wouldn't be so blatant if the comments that he made weren't.
Well, you can't call every long OU run they had was a holding, and I get it. Some of them were holding. The one on Everett was not a hold. He literally just pushed the guy to the ground. I thought that was a weak call, but you can't tell me that they're not holding. I saw one where Coe broke through the backfield in a running play, and the guy just tackled him. So just be consistent. That's all. I'm not going to blame anything on the rest, but it's just very inconsistent.
I do like that they were letting him play a little bit on the outside on coverages. You know, if you're going to let him be physical, let's be physical the whole time. Then it can't be ticky-tack some. Offensively, the one thing that stands out to me, Jay, was 9 different guys caught passes. That is different than last year. Andrell Anthony leads the way again, 7 catches, 117 yards, I think. That is very impressive. I don't know how Michigan was not using this guy. This guy is the real deal. Can go down the field, can catch stuff in coverage across the middle. Man, I'd like to see him work that Drake Stoops across the middle when it was a little bit thrown behind him. Stoops, I thought, should have caught that ball, but that would have been a 30-yard gain there. Stogner seems like a shell of himself on offense, but he did do some great things blocking. I think that was good. But back-wise, not one time did Sawchuk or Barnes get on the field. So maybe they're going with Major and Walker. I thought both those guys played really well. What they do offer that maybe the other two don't is Brent Venables wants to play a physical kind of ball and relentless kind of ball. And those two guys are physical guys. Second half was better, but even Gabriel did some things second half running the ball. I like the option on 4th and 1.
That was a great call.
4th and 1, Levy brings out the option. Gabriel made the right decision.
I'm going to talk about 2 things that are very, very concerning for me as an OU fan. And this would be probably the 2 biggest things that I'm concerned about moving forward. One is Dylan Gabriel. He, even in the first half, he got a little pressure. A few times he threw it backwards. He just kind of panics, right? And just kind of panics or throws the ball. He doesn't need to throw it yet, panics. And missing of the 2 wide open receivers. You can't have those in games that are very close. You just can't. Not when they're that wide open. You can't overthrow it. Just underthrow it, if anything, and give them a chance to get it. That would be a concern when they get into like a very tough game. The next one is, and I don't know how to say this, and I have to I'm going to watch the game again tonight, Jeremy, and see if I'm right on this or not, because I may be totally off base. So if you're watching this, I'm just going to preface it with, I'm going to watch it again to make sure, but I'm just not seeing a whole lot of positives when Austin Stogner's in the game. That's just me. I just don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, he caught a ball, but he was kind of just a statue once he caught it. There's not I mean, as far as blocking, there was one play he didn't block the guy and almost got intercepted. So I just need to watch it again. But they put him in the backfield a couple times. I'm just trying to, Braden Willis was so good last year and got a lot of touches. They're not giving touches to Stogner, so I'm wondering what his main role is,
I agree, but I know he did some things today blocking wise that were,
and that might be
better.
What they're using him for.
Stubby here, as far as the defense, the defense is, I mean, light years better than they were last year. They are fundamentally sound. There's not missed assignments. The one play where they got a guy open, Deshaun McCullough was kind of late to the party there, and slowed down and hesitated. I remember that one where a guy in the first half got some yards, but yeah, they're tackling better. A Kanik missed tackle. That was a big deal in the second half where he missed that tackle. He was gassed. That's pretty much what it is, in my opinion. I'm going to credit it to that, but you're right. The old regime would not have this would not have been something we would have seen, and actually probably is a game OU loses. If the offense was struggling as much as they did today, first half, it would not have been, a 10-3 game at the half.
What
This defense is competitive depth-wise is huge. You see how many defensive linemen got out there today, guys? Is a lot. Reggie Grimes' fourth quarter is making plays. I mean, there's guys that are getting a lot of breaks, that they're fresher and things like that. And yeah, Stogner isn't contributing much. And it is a shame after kind of what he's been through. I hope this can change. Tell you a guy who's contributing where you thought his career was over is Marcus Stripling. Marcus Stripling is playing great.
he is. And if you look at the defense on the side of the ball, we talked about it last year. I think we talked about how much guys played, like Stutzman and those guys played every snap, David Agwebu. And I think a lot of people thought that was an excuse that they were gassed, and it's the truth. I mean, guys, if you go watch today, in the defensive backfield alone, they went all the way to Vickers. Robert Spears-Jennings was playing a lot. Another guy who's playing awesome right now is Key Lawrence, by the way. Key Lawrence is playing really good. Bowen as well made a great play on the ball. I mean, the defensive backfield and then the defensive line, they rotated a ton of guys. And linebacker.
How much did Halton get in today?
I would have liked to have seen Kip get in there a little bit more and giving them a rest, but I think the game was just so tight for a little bit they didn't want to maybe risk that. But they're going to have to get Kanik. We'll see what's happened with Kanik, and if he's out for a period of time, it's going to be a big loss.
And again, Stubby, bringing up some great points, Stubby. Appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to our channel, viewers, make sure you subscribe. We got the super thanks on, and super thankful for right here, Stubby 1085 here for these comments. But this is exactly what was talked about in the pregame. They're making teams one-dimensional, which is what the greatest defenses that OU's have done. They've done. Teams aren't. I mean, the amount of penetration that OU's getting off the snap, into the backfield, they're plugging teams for 1 or 2 yard gains and making them one-dimensional. They did have a couple of runs there, but seriously, this defense is by far and away light years ahead.
Well, in the running game, it's like if you notice now when they get an 8-yard run, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? When in the past it was like if they got a stop on a 2-yard stop, you'd be like, what happened? They stopped it. It's totally flipped. And the words I can use was fast, like Joe Klatluz. They know the defense better. They're faster, but also they are way more physical. Danny Stutzman is that one he blitzed and got the quarterback. He basically smashed the running back and ran him over, grabs his left hand, grabs the jersey and pulls him down. He is a physical beast, and he's got to be in the Butkus. I mean, he's right now. If he keeps it up, there's no way.
He's got to be the front runner.
He's
not just in it. He's got to be the front runner. And Chris,
not winning it. Yeah,
Chris, this is another thing that Sooner Surge. We talked about this during the game on our group chat, but Nick Anderson is a guy that possibly could play that position that you're talking about as far as Stogner, because right now what Stogner is he's a blocker. He's kind of a safety valve. That's really the two things. I mean, he's a dump guy where you dump it to him. He did have a good clear out on the Andrell Anthony big third down pickup, I thought. But yeah, I mean, there's some guys maybe that could be used there. And Nick Anderson, we said it, all he does is catch touchdowns. Today, got another one. Almost broke the other catch he had. Hey, and viewers, comment on this. The amount of guys that are wide open running down the field in this offense, the schematics that they're doing, and the play to Nick Anderson on his touchdown was unbelievable. The motion and the eye candy that Levy drew up on that one. But
and
I also want to give kudos, and I've talked about Major. I give kudos to Marcus Major and Tolly Walker. Those guys are running tough, physical. They're blocking well. They're picking up blitzes pretty well. So kudos to them.
Well, and you mentioned the Stogner thing, Chris, and that's where I'm wondering if they even just a lot of times could go no tight end and you put Nick Anderson or Jaden Gibson in. That means they're going to have a linebacker on it. They're going to destroy that linebacker. And so, and maybe we'll see more of it as they go forward. And maybe they just like Stogner in the blocking game. But the first few games, I didn't see a whole lot of things that were really popping off the film as far as blocking, like Braden Willis was last year. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we'll see what they do with that. But Jaden Gibson made another catch today. He would have had a touchdown if Gabriel puts it. And that's the thing. Dylan Gabriel, if a guy's that wide open, you cannot overthrow him. If anything, underthrow him and let them go get the ball. You cannot throw it out of bounds or overthrow a guy by 20 yards. I mean, it can't happen. It can't happen.
First half, Gibson, missed Gibson for a TD, missed Farouk for a TD. You had the fumble that he had, right? And there's a couple of other ones that I know were missed. Second half, he limited those mistakes. So that was good to see. He did some things with his legs. That was good to see. Took another shot just like he did last year against TCU. Here we go. The satisfying to see the defense so disciplined and confident, even when on the field most of the game.
Hey,
we had to move on from Riley one way or another.
Hey,
Venables
Chris.
to the rescue. Exactly. Venables, he had talked about physical, relentless defense. Seems to be what's being built in Norman, Oklahoma.
This defense, what he's done in a year with this defense is pretty amazing. I mean, it's unreal. And admit it, anybody on this video right now watching, comment, but because when OU got up 17-6, have you ever in the last 10 years said that's ball game? I mean, it was 10-6, and I was like, if OU can score and get 17-6, I think this game's over. That's how good the defense was playing. And it's been a lot of years since you've been able to say that. Usually it's like if OU can get up 2 to 3 scores, it might be over. Maybe. But it's unreal. And Danny Stutzman, whoever commented before this about Danny Stutzman, he's a Brent Venables linebacker. Brent Venables is turning Danny Stutzman into a top pick in the NFL draft. This guy has got all the intangibles, all the athleticism. Now he's got the mental, the discipline, everything. I don't see any game where he's not going to have a great game. He's focused right now, man.
Yeah, and the turnaround in a year. I mean, if you can go to a top 25 defense, and really, I don't see why the offenses in the Big 12 this year are not like they were 7 to 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even 3 years ago. And I know people are going to say, hold your horses. This was Cincinnati Bearcats. They lost to Miami of Ohio. Emory Jones. Look, Emory Jones has played big-time football. Emory Jones is the exact kind of quarterback that would have maybe lit OU up in the last few years. They struggled with guys like Emory Jones. OU answered questions today, in my opinion, on the defensive side. They answered questions on, can they get pressure? The answer is yes. BV was dialing it up. Ted Roof, BV, whoever it is calling it, he dialed up pressure. They were bringing blitzes early and often. And when they weren't bringing blitzes, guys like Bothroyd stood out to me today. He was able to get a lot of pressure, and other guys were as well. It was great to see finally. And not just that, 2 more turnovers, 2 more interceptions.
Do you have the stats in front of you or no?
Not in front of me.
Do you know, remember how many yards Emory Jones had running the ball?
He had about 225 in the air running. My guess is if you count the sacks, it might have been,
Not much. That 1 3rd and 19 he got a first down on.
Got about 20 on that.
That was about it. I mean, when was the last time OU held a dual threat? Remember Adrian Martinez last year? Game 4. That was game 4. This is game 4. Totally different team. You cannot, and here's the thing. Defense travels. Okay? I'm all OU fans, go look at the schedule. This team, in my opinion, you got Texas. Other than that, you should be a pretty good favorite in every game, are you not?
I think Kansas turns out to be maybe one of the toughest road games they got left.
Still, though, I mean, I'm just saying, this next week it's Iowa State at home, a night game. The way the defense is playing, if the offense doesn't turn the ball over, and what they didn't do today well was they missed some opportunities in the red zone. A couple field goals. You had the fumble by Gabriel. Those are going to hurt you in a real tight game. And the overthrows. Those are the main things that are going to hurt you.
Plaster wasn't great today. Schmidt was great.
Schmidt was good, yeah.
Schmidt was solid as far as special teams. But, there's a couple things Farouk probably could have got loose or maybe made a couple completions of Farouk. His numbers would have been better. But, again, 9 guys catching balls is great. I would say the Canick injury is a concern for me. I hope and pray it's for his sake as well, mainly that he's healthy. There was talk of it being a concussion early, but then it didn't seem like that's what it was.
Well, and when he went down, I thought it was like a cramp or a leg.
That's what everyone thought, but he was wobbly. And then the medical, as we get an update, we can provide that, but we don't have anything now. Everything was precautionary at the time. But man.
And you may check back later today.
Here.
Later today, we'll have a few more videos going out, so check out those. But this comment.
I like this comment.
Dylan Gabriel.
This comment, Jay.
Yeah, it isn't a superhero quarterback, but he's solid, and it's nice he doesn't have to be hero to win games. That's what he is. That's a perfect comment and a perfect description. He's a good quarterback. He's not a quarterback that's going to put you on his back, I don't think, and go win you a game. Like you got to have him do it. But he's a guy that can guide you to a championship, I think, especially a Big 12 championship.
I mean, I'm not doing any discredit to Josh Heupel. There's a lot of similarities in the guys. Neither one of them, Heupel or Gabriel, have major arm strength. I think maybe that's why sometimes Gabriel either checks down or doesn't. You saw one today, Freeman's going down the middle of the field and had a guy. You saw another one, Stoops is going down. It's almost like Gabriel doesn't trust his arm to make that throw before the safety gets over there. But this is exactly right. He's a good quarterback. OU can win games because of their defense. You could not maybe win with DG with the defense they've had in the past because maybe he wasn't going to go out there and just win games. But his numbers today would have been unbelievable had he made those other plays.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I think his pocket presence, he kind of panics if he gets a little bit of now the one play on third down where he kind of eluded a guy and made the throw to Stoops. It was a little behind Stoops, but I mean, we all admit Stoops should have had that. The next series, he grabs the one-handed one. But stuff like that, just on the move throws, I just don't think he's great at. But the big test for him, it's obvious. It's Texas, okay? Because I go into this Texas game in a few weeks, and defensively, I mean, if you go look at Quinn Ewers' stats, his completion percentage, I think OU can do some things against him and kind of confuse him. It's just whether or not how OU can do offensively against Texas, I think, and how Gabriel performs. Hey, is this the best receiving crew? Is this the best wide receiver crew that OU's had in a while? All around.
Well, it's definitely the most improved.
Andrew Anthony is way better than I think people anticipated.
He is. And
they got everything.
They got size. They got little scat guys, that can go out there and do things. But this is an interesting point here that Chris makes, because I know it's something that Sooner fans are thinking of, and it's you can't lose a game outside of Texas.
Correct.
If the only game you lose is Texas and you get them again and you beat them, and if you lose to Texas, I mean, if you beat Texas October 7th, you'd then have to beat them again anyway. So not to say that you don't want to just destroy Texas anytime you get a chance to, you do. But I kind of like what he's saying there, the development, the strides that this team has made since last year is incredible under Venables. And I think it's going to continue. Injuries are going to be key, not having those, especially to certain guys. I don't know, Jay. At some point, Barnes and Salchuk, I think, are going to have – I don't know what's going on there. Are they going to play just two guys? It's going to be interesting on that. But
I don't know. But defensively, this is a crazy stat. I may be wrong on this stat. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to think of the scores in the first 4 games. They've allowed 3 touchdowns total. Is that right?
Yeah, and only –
2 to TU and 1 to SMU?
Yeah, 2 to TU, 1 to SMU.
That's insane. 3 touchdowns in 4 games. I mean, that's crazy. And I agree. I'm not ready to call Texas world beaters. I watched them last week. Bama's way overrated. They struggle a little bit with Wyoming. Here's the deal with Texas. They got big playmakers at receiver, especially Worthy, right? But I do think you can score on them. I mean, you saw what Alabama did with Milroe, right? They put up almost 30. I'm thinking 20-something points. So OU can score on them. If Gabriel plays good, I think OU can win that game for sure.
Yeah, as far as sometimes, I mean, look, everyone would say Drake Stoops isn't. You look at him and you don't think this guy's a D1 NFL talent. But when it does hit him in the stomach, he ain't dropping the ball. He's got great hands. He didn't get to that one today, which, as someone said earlier, probably could have went for a score. I mean, he had so much running room on that. He's a great blocker. He's physical. I just like how that. I would like to see a little more Gibson. Uh, Especially, they seem to use him a lot in the red zone, but he did catch that kind of dig middle route for about a 20-yard pickup that Gabriel threw a dot on that one. And right here, this comment, the last part of this comment, the offense getting out of their own way. That is an issue. Whether it's
Yep.
couple yard loss
Yep.
or whether it's a penalty or maybe they're getting too cute sometimes, Levy. It's like, look, they're pretty unstoppable, so much so that the Cincinnati guy, and Kanik obviously was, look, I don't think Venables would ever tell anyone on the team to fake a cramp. It is clear that is what those guys were doing in the first quarter. These pace that OU ran the offense was insane. It was incredible. If OU starts going downhill that quickly like that, you pretty much you got to get out of the way. You're not going to stop them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And penalties, I think that one drive, it was Farouk, just a silly like motion penalty. I mean, that stopped the third down conversion. I mean, you just can't have stuff like that happen. They got to do a better job.
It was also good to see the football gods or the Sooner Magic with them today because honestly, Gabriel could have thrown 2 or 3 picks early. You had the lateral that bounced out of bounds, fortunately. You had the rain snap that hit him in the corner of the shoulder that could have went anyway early in the game. And then you had their throw that hit McCullough, made a great breakup on. And I thought in years past, since the guy would have caught it and ran it in for an end zone for a score, but Bowman was there for the nice scoop as far as interception. So, and really you could say, man, it was 4th down, should have let that ball drop, but you don't teach that. You go for takeaways, and the Sooners are getting takeaways this year. Promise you that. That's what's happening. Speed D is gone. Physicality, relentless defense is here, hitting people in the mouth, gang tackling, chasing the ball. And as Chris says, Texas is beatable. Alabama does have problems. You do got to take your shots. And again, my only complaint still sometimes with Gabriel is he locks in on the one receiver. There's a couple times if he'd just kind of glanced one way and then look down the middle, there are guys running down the middle wide open. So,
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, they just offensively, they got to. To me, the key to their season is if they offensively can jump out on people and get.
Yeah, you there? Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. If they can get a lead on somebody with this defense, they're going to be in good shape. It's when they have to play from behind. That would be an issue, I think. So if they can get a lead, you got this defense unit, you can rotate guys in. They're going to be tough to beat. They really will be.
Yeah, and we can probably end it on this one here, Stubby, about sometimes, put a boot on a throat. And I think if you put a truth serum in Venables, he would probably say, yeah, Levy, let's maybe stop with some of this eye candy and smoke screen stuff, and let's put a foot on a throat and go win this game, and let's go dominate. It's been great, guys. This team is different. It's different. I love what it's different about. Yep. I love the physicality. I love that OU can win with defense again. Is bringing back some memories of Sooner Magic. And, yeah, let's get to that Colorado-Oregon game. This is a great day of football, guys. Sooner Surge is going to have some content dropping later. We're going to have 3 takeaways from the game. We're going to talk about players as far as who stood out. We're going to talk about maybe some injury updates. Make sure you're subscribed. We've got the super thanks turned on. We have a Discord that we'll put in a link. Yeah, enjoy your college football Saturday, guys. Boomer.
Boomer.